Couldn't see it.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll confirm it for you. I've been doing a little bit of...
Are we sure?
Yeah, please, G-Sun, can you let us know? She failed to read it, unfortunately. Yeah, it just didn't quite figure that one out. But here we are, in Champions League for game number 1. SKT versus SANDBOX Gaming. SKT will be on our blue side, so Khan will be the one that has to actually lock in his champion. See whether Summit can get the counter pick. Olaf is going to be that first ban against On Fleek, as the Jace is, of course, the answer against Khan.
And Lee Sin priority when we have an 8-3 Lee Sin for On Fleek, most played this season after Camille. Unfortunately, went into the dumpster.
Yep.
And Clid 10-6, 16 games. Think about that. An entire LCS or LEC split is 18 games. And he's played 16 best of ones already on Lee Sin for Clid. I don't know if it's first pick territory. We know Lissandra will occupy that if it's available. What will be able to just jimmy out? Because there's more than 6 champions you want to ban when top teams are on the Rift.
Yep, I'm looking at Jace and Lissandra as being the next two that really stand out. Then you've got the entire 80 carry pool with Kalista available, with Ezreal. I mean, Teddy and Ghost have both been defaulting to it, and SKT are going to get one of either the Galio or Lissandra if they would like to go towards it. I think SANDBOX have to ban away Lissia.
What does this mean for Galio that's been a first pick for a long time? And yeah, the Kalista versus Lissandra, pick your poison. Yes, like I said to you, get the first pick of all time. It would be very surprising to see anything other than Lissandra, given that Ryze is there as a coverage ban for Lissandra to kind of have a paddock, whatever lane she decides.
Yep, feels like it's almost a guarantee here. 8 seconds to go. Lissandra has been found.
Mind-boggling.
Yes.
For it not to be locked in here, even though we can say, what about Lee Sin? What about other things? Lissandra is the champion to speak of. Lucian priority, going down a little bit over time. I can understand it. It is a winning pick for Ghost, though. He is 6-1 on the Lucian so far this season. Could be flexed into other lanes as well. We've seen a little bit more of it opening up around the Rift. Rascal's played in the top lane. And how about just picking up something that works well together? What's it going to be at the cost as you notice the hover here, KO is enabled this week. But so far, no one's locking it in.
No, and it's not necessarily the greatest in theory for competitive play, just because you need to try and get yourself through the
This is the first time I'm seeing it in the hover. It actually looks quite scary.
Yeah, it's really scary. Oh, surprise, surprise.
Whoa!
Picks up Lee Sin. That is going to be game number 17.
Wow.
For those playing at home.
How about an Ezreal?
Well, Vladimir is also up, and the Ryze, like you mentioned before, has been banned. It's going to give away the solo lanes for SKT most likely, unless Teddy is once again going to go towards some awesome dudes. His Vladimir was a notable pickup.
A lot of teams take the champion that people turn their nose up at. Aatrox in this spot against the Vladimir. I know that is one to get the Bronx cheers from the audience.
It's a big Summit champion, and I think that if anyone's going to pick it, it's going to be Summit. But On Fleek's decided to take his jungler.
And they hold their breath. The Aatrox, again, it's feeling more and more like the champion was kind of reworked in power, retuned, rather than straight up nerfed, because a lot of Korean pros are returning to it.
Yeah.
Kind of out of the jungle recently. The blind Aatrox is gone.
I think that the Electrocute build that does have the extra lifesteal and things like that involved in it do try and shore up some of the weaknesses. Cosmic Insight, also a fantastic thing that people have now discovered on the Aatrox.
We are heavily thinking this will be a jungle Jarvan. Like, you could go into Vlad, but you get very, very outscaled.
Oh, I don't think, I wouldn't
it sounds pretty awful. It is a Clid go-to, but Clid already has his Lee Sin, so Jarvan duty for On Fleek. Only 1-0 on the pick. He's been on Lee Sin duty more often than not, so bot lane for SKT, going to be absorbing bans. Chance that Teddy's going to be running the Vladimir, so don't completely put that out of your mind. And that means, given that we've seen Teddy go to those non-80 carries from time to time, maybe there's an argument that SANDBOX hold on to top lane for the last pick, and maybe just pick up a mid laner into Lissandra. The Zoe, for example, is available.
Yeah, I'd absolutely love a Sivir pick here for SKT, though, just looking at the composition. Oh, man, you imagine
Turbo Vlad?
Turbo Vlad, Turbo Lissandra, even Turbo Lee Sin could get work done. The Ezreal's going to be denied here, and that is one step closer to a Sivir pickup for Teddy. I'm feeling okay with it.
Or a Vladimir lock-in, so...
Yeah, true.
Let's not put our hearts out there. We don't want to get burned out.
And Shen is still available, of course. The Aatrox has to be banned against Summit. I can understand that one completely.
So what against Vlad is a very intriguing question. In other regions, there are picks that crop up that we don't see in Korea. So I'm very interested to see what the choice is here. We would imagine mid lane would be claimed for SANDBOX. Dove's champion pool, if you think about what he plays.
Galio, okay.
He plays a lot of the standard stuff. LeBlanc, for example, was banned out here. Lissandra taken away. The Ryze taken away. Zoe is your first thought, but it's probably going to be Galio mid.
It has to be. I mean, there's a Braum already locked in.
But now we have a Rumble party, and the worst person for a Rumble party is the Vladimir. So you're worried here. How does SANDBOX set up a draft with the final pick? They don't have a lot of range. They have a lot of team fighting. So it feels like they kind of have to team fight Atlas. And can you find a better team fighter than Vladimir?
Well, Zyra Khan is available here. Marta hovering the Blitzcrank for the moment. They could certainly go towards it if they want to, but there's no chance.
Look at the enemy team. Who are you hooking in, right? You're not going to get Lucian and everyone else as an initiator, so you're going Rakan here. I just don't know how SANDBOX flip this from just being SKT running a team fight and have Vladimir, and that is usually going to be the trump card, right? So they could try to set up a 4-1, but then their 4 is very short-ranged. 4-1 does seem to be guaranteed. You have to find something to lane into Vlad.
I think that it had to be a 4-1 type option. Aurelia is going to be the choice that Summit's going to make up there towards the top side of the map. I mean, their engage options are certainly fantastic on the side of SANDBOX.
And again, if you find a way to have Aurelia having kill pressure on Vlad and he's kind of skulking behind his turret with 0 HP, maybe things can work. But you feel like more often than not, SANDBOX's win conditions are pretty narrow here. They don't have a lot of siege. Their team fight is into a team fight come from SKT where they might just have the trump cards take them down. The aces, to me, they might be a little bit deep. They might take some levels, but they're up the sleeve of SKT. So I like what SKT have put together. But execution in the mid game, with how reliable the CC is, every lane you go to, whether it's Galio, Braum, or even just Aurelia opening up, Jarvan should find good things. So win lane, win game is one way you can win at the highest level.
Yeah, but a lot of these lanes feel like a bit of a gentleman's agreement. I mean, Lissandra versus Galio is just going to be tank versus tank.
Aurelia,
top side of the map will be where you're going to find some entrances on the side of SANDBOX, and SKT can play safe. Bottom side as well, so we give them the scaling. They should be able to scale in this game.
See how much work Aurelia can do early. Does that mean that Jarvan has set up a camp there, or is it just going to be Aurelia doing her thing? Especially if you get an Executioner's Core, there's kill threat for a lot of this laning phase.
Yeah, she builds it pretty easily as well, does the old Aurelia.
You really have to pull through the ultimate. If you get clipped by the Vanguard's Edge, just slow to in the pull, so you actually don't move anywhere.
Yeah.
So you desperately need to be able to pop that very fast-moving skill shot. So let's see how much Khan can repel. We've seen precious little Vladimir this week. We know that if it gets going, all the melees on the side of SANDBOX roll up, and Vladimir says thank you very much, and pockets his LP.
Well, we'll see whether he can actually get that one done. I think a lot is on Ghost to get very consistent damage down this game. Whether he can is a question. We'll find out now. SKT versus SANDBOX. SKT starting off this series on our blue side. Marta's Rakan is going to be making his way back in. A few buffs to the grand entrance on 9.5. And once again, we're going to see all of that playmaking with the quickness.
And the champion I am most needing to be convinced of is Dove going Galio. Even though Galio is a contested pick between these two teams and has been flexed into the mid lane quite a lot recently, the spot where it was picked pigeonholed them into largely team fighting with a little bit of 4-1 if Aurelia can really turn things on in the side lane. So given that, is it a Dove didn't have anything else choice, or is it a, all right, OnFleek's feeling it, we're going in super hard and turret diving all day? We will wait and see the answer to that question. A lot of very comfortable picks. 60.
Oh, yeah.
It's his 17th Lee Sin game. Yeah. It's almost 100%. He'll play at least 18, and have played an entire split of Lee Sin.
Yeah. Just silly.
Meanwhile, Summit's first time.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just never played Aurelia. No scrims either.
Nope. OnFleek, one game of Jarvan. How do you only play one game of Jarvan in your entire League of Legends career? That's just insane. That's not actually the entire career of these players, just the career in this particular league. SANDBOX, they're a new squad.
It was a really good interview I was reading with Clid. It's like just a random move from the crowd.
Faker just winning a trade mid. Yes!
Yes! I mean, look, he was ahead at one point.
Yeah.
But the interview was with Clid, and he talked about how originally he was a Bronze 5 Teemo. He played only Teemo and would look up Teemo guides. And one time, when he couldn't find the guide he was looking for, he spotted a lot of Lee Sin guides cropping up and tried him instead. And look at him now. So from Teemo and Bronze 5 to Lee Sin, and, you know,
if there's ever a motivational story to read, that is the one.
So all you Bronze 5 Teemos in the chat, you could be Clid in the future.
Well, you don't want to be cleared this game because he's had his red buff stolen and walks over and discovers that as he's going to walk over a ward. Clid understands now that OnFleek has been able to go red to red and does have priority on his blue buff as well. So the Jarvan having a great time so far. Could even get the double Rift Scuttler if he's able to get over there very quickly. You can see Clid on the bottom side of the map not wanting to waste time.
Lane control's in a pretty good spot here for Xayah and Rakan, so Ghost and Joker can't do their short range busting of lanes with all the trade damage you can do very early on Lucian and Braum. So for now at least, things are pretty even.
Yeah, pretty comfortable. Bottom side of the map. Doesn't necessarily mean that SKT have enough
it's just
to
funny.
get priority in the lane.
You look at everyone's opportunities to gank, and only Clid going top is unlikely. Everything else is like CC in the lane, good reasons to gank, and there's Vladimir who's like, I just need a bit of time. So
yeah, please, just hold
a counter gank top lane, otherwise proactive ganks available everywhere else, so we're kind of just really focused on jungle pathing. Trade of Scuttles is on, as so far Clid is top side of picking that up. No CS lead yet for Summit. Kind of shows the hand that perhaps the Jarvan is playing bot side because Summit has been very respectful.
Yeah, you can see right now Khan's actually having a great time in this lane. 5 CS in the lead as this big wave is stacking forward. Good forward right there, but Crimson Rush is going to make sure that Khan stays topped up throughout the majority of this one.
It's been more gusto played with SKT. Pretty even lanes they've been able to open up. Small CS leads, again, nothing huge. For example, a minion in the bot lane.
Yep.
The mid lane probably has the biggest difference because Galio, you never really get the minions where you want them. Your Q, your AoEs on your Q and your auto attack with the passive often mean that in the early game before you can just randomly wave clear, things are a little bit tricky.
Yep, Sapphire Crystal has to be built. That feels a little bit bad, but Double Dark Seal will keep the Galio relatively safe in this lane as he teleports back forward. I'm surprised that it wasn't a Corrupting Potion opted in for instead of that Sapphire Crystal, but Dove wanting to get to that lost chapter as soon as possible by the looks of things.
It's also just sheer mana to press Q on the waves a lot, and even if he's not getting all of them, push it if his jungler needs it. So given that so much of this game is, all right, junglers, you got a paddock to roam around, go out and be free, having an ability to do what he does just now, teleport in, push in, or get vision, or potentially roam opportunities for Dove to justify why Galio in this spot.
That's a cute little snare. Grand entrance there gets a bit of damage on the Joker, but the Unbreakable is going to keep him alive very comfortably here in this lane. I find it very interesting watching Xayah Rakan here in the hands of Marta and Teddy, just because it feels so much like, you know, a bang champion, right? I mean, SKT have been playing Xayah Rakan for a very long time, but the whole bottom lane has transformed. Marta played it with Deft last year on KT Rolster as well, but it's just so strange that it feels so comfortable to see the SKT nameplates with the Xayah Rakan, but the players have changed completely.
And isn't it nice to see Rakan back at all? 9.5 with the latest buff for Grand Entrance, being that flat 1500 rather than scaling to 1485 with, I believe, Boots of Mobility is a nice invitation for Rakan to be a situational rather than all-the-time champion, which I think we appreciate.
Feels like an all-the-time champion for Tucson. He was playing it before it was cool.
You know what? If you're going to spam a champion, at least be good at it. Yeah. Tucson on the Rakan and Clid on the Lee Sin. Every time you're up for it, I'm down as well.
Yeah, sounds pretty good to me. Here in the mid lane, Faker is losing out on a trade massively. Dove just smashing him right now on Fleek, trying to get him flash range. As Khan throws down the Hemo Plague, Summit might actually have this one turned on him. 200 health is going to be in there, but holds on to the ultimate, holds on to his life. Everything's fine.
That was way more damage than you think of with the so many times nerfed Galio mid lane. Was never going to actually have kill pressure there on Faker, but definitely looks like an impressive trade. Might get a Spirit back timing that Dove would welcome. Summit didn't really have the mana to R anything else, so he just held on to Vanguard's edge. Khan now has a window where OnFleek says, what about a turret dive?
Yeah, well, Clid's actually going to come up and try and grab Agatha away from OnFleek, but it's not going to work. The flash is able to be used. Joker already roams on over. This is going to be a 2 versus 1 that Clid would opt in for, but not enough information. Topside vision well and truly there for SANDBOX, and they're playing around their advantages very well so far in this early game.
Isn't it nice to see moments like that where there was a next level, next level, next level?
Yeah.
Going for the turret dive, Lee Sin charging there to see if the Jarvan was going to threaten a turret dive, because Khan had to teleport right under the turret, and Joker had already pre-roamed for a potential 3v2. So even though the action comes of it, that control war, there was one cleared deep in the bot side. This one's working out.
Yeah, I'm calling it Nigel. Nigel's a goodie. Very sneaky little Nigel.
Fair enough. I could see Nigel as the name of someone who owns a SANDBOX.
Yeah. It does feel like a kid's name, doesn't it? I'm sure there's a lot of much older Nigels.
No, in my head, actually, Nigel's like the slightly older British man with some buck teeth.
Oh, yeah, that's a Melvin to me.
Oh, Melvin.
In my mind.
There you go.
Sorry to all the Melvins watching.
How many Melvins do you think are watching?
I don't know.
I think many more Nigels are watching.
Can you sound off in the Twitch chat, guys? If your name's Melvin, let us know. Just give us a fog jam.
And shout out to Nigel. You'll know which one.
Yep, Nigel as well. As, we're getting a few. Wild Thornberries. That's what people are talking about. And Nigel Thornberry, of course, is going to be the most notable Nigel. Most notable Nigel. Everything's very even.
We have a very serious job, Atlas. Stay on cast, please.
Yeah, sorry, I got to talk about Nigels again. Messed it up. But the reason why we are is because things are moving quite slowly.
And we mentioned during Champ Select, if nothing happens and we rock up with 6 items each, can't really look past Vladimir with how short range
Zaire
SANDBOX
as well
is.
Scales very effectively.
I really want to see that Executioner's Calling we're always talking about from Summit next. The Tiamat is for lane control and the ability to push into the Vladimir, especially early before Vlad gets pointed as Tides of Blood.
Okay,
definitely want some healing reduction coming.
Pulled. Not exactly the ability that you want to be pulling. You want to be predicting the alternate before you throw out the Sanguine Pull, but thankfully Khan was underneath this turret, so he's going to be fine. Yeah, the tax for the Executioner's Calling is actually a big deal, though, because it means that Summit won't hit that Trinity Force for much longer.
Hey, the tax rate used to be 1,300 gold QSSs, so you don't complain about 800 gold Executioner's Callings.
Getting a tax break here. Nicely done, well done.
We've talked about tax so much today.
We really have.
I think April
tax time is coming in. As another Hemoplate goes down defensively here. Summit not going to be able to mitigate a lot of that damage, but offers some more back there as Khan holds onto this wave. The freeze hasn't been broken yet, but Summit does have an advantage here finally in this lane, as we would expect from the more aggressive Aurelia choice.
Reminder with all the new viewers joining us, it's something we haven't really delved too deep into, but a reminder that Aurelia's W no longer reduces magic damage when channeled. So yes, it put on a speck of damage onto Khan.
I thought you were going to explain the Korean tax system to everyone.
I mean, you're the one that needs the full information there.
Yeah, I do. You've got
it's
an
your
extra
first
year
time.
on me. Yeah. I mean, I paid it last night. I just didn't. I didn't do anything fancy. You know, I just got the number that they told me about, and you know, OGN helped me a lot.
I got bad
with,
news. They're taxing
tax
esports dollars this year.
Oh no!
I know.
It's a disaster. I want out. It's not true. I never believe.
Well,
Conflict finds a control ward and kills it.
We love having you here, Atlas. Double Aussie days have been denied recently. SKT being cold on the bot side, but you know, not to any meaningful CS discrepancies. Even top lane with Aurelia, a pretty favorable matchup. It's the tune of nothing. 10 CS, nothing more. No signing of that Executioner's Calling. If we're going to build other items, we better be using them somewhere, as Clid finds on Fleek in his own jungle.
Yep, very comfortable though. You can see it's only Agatha available in this particular jungle for SKT. So Clid's got a lot of options when it comes to where he wants to be on the map. And right now, onus isn't on him to actually make anything happen. Summit decides that he wants that Trinity Force as early as he can. So like you were talking about, no Executioner's Calling. Some dangerous times there as Faker's auto attack range looked like it was gigantic there. Looked like old Annie levels of auto attack range.
It's actually current Annie levels auto attack range. She was rebuffed.
Oh yeah.
Yep. She is now back to her ways, right next to someone like good old Caitlyn when it comes to attack range.
Yeah, good to see Annie's port back again.
SKT did a really good job of repelling an early Ocean Drake around 6 minutes, and now on Fake will have to come in and interrupt this. Remember, Galio should have first roam, but Mata and Teddy coming from far.
Yeah, good blade call there as well, as Joker doesn't have a lot of health bar, as Clid has to flash to get on out. You can see Faker and Dove, they're also fighting. It's 3 fronts as far as this battle is concerned, but Ghost is going down very, very low. The flash has to be used to get out, but they do get themselves the Ocean Drake and should be able to gather even the Rift Scuttler as Vanguard's Edge goes down once again. You can see Khan does have the phase rush as Summit turns it around once again. Charges it up. Good sidestep there from Khan. Keeps himself alive. Trade of ultimates on both sides. There's the Crimson Rush. There's the Sanguine Pull as well.
Oh.
Has to flash to get out of the way, though. This is becoming a really dangerous dance for Khan on the Vladimir.
This is some posturing on all sides. Yeah. There ended up being a trade of summoners, but not one you might expect. They had to flash out of the Drake pit, but Ghost, in all of the commotion, had to use double summoners. Doesn't have teleport, so it's heal flash used by him. So the Ocean Drake actually cost them both 80 carries summoners, which worth, not worth. They didn't use the hero's entrance, but a lot of tools around the map were used, even though no one went down.
Yeah, Faker as well. I mean, he didn't have to use any flash or anything like that and made sure that Dove couldn't actually throw out that ultimate like you were talking about, as this is a little bit topsy-turvy, but Faker is able to lock that one down.
Yeah, Faker had to yell twice, but eventually got there.
I believe Nigel died. Oh. Or was he replaced? Maybe Nigel just moved. Maybe that's Nigel.
He went to the farm.
Yeah, all right.
I wanted someone to mock up a ward farm that's not just a ward graveyard.
Oh, no. That doesn't sound good at all.
They don't go to the glue.
I don't know why why did it go so sinister? Oh, speaking of which, Shelly Rivers being taken down here as well. Looks like SANDBOX utilizing that topside control that they do have for themselves. That was after getting the Drake as well. Cake and eat it too, happening for SANDBOX here in this early game. You expect nothing less here from this squad. It will be a turret plate going down in favor of SKT on the bottom side of the map, but that is a 1 versus 2 scenario. Something you can understand for Ghost, who's holding onto this wave nicely.
And we got Turbo if we're going to use this one before 14 minutes. Don't get a lot of thinking time. In fact, they won't be.
No.
Straight to base. Could have just used it top side. I wonder why they didn't. I guess they're worried about the counter gank bottom side. Ghost and Joker coming up, and I imagine Jarvan is trying to speed here if he gave up, getting 320 gold onto a carry.
And SKT have to really think about this as Control Ward is going to be taken down. SKT understand that they do have a ward there.
Hold the point.
Yeah, Clid comes in. There's all the flashes. Joker going down very low, but the hero's entrance will be available. Faker finds himself on the wrong side, but still has the ultimate available. Joker gets out of the way though, and Ghost mops up that kill. Can't teleport it in, but is it into his doom? Gets a lot of the health back with the Hemo Plague on fleek now. Just needs one more round of spells for Khan, but he gets slowed down and mopped up. Dove grabs that one. It's 4 for 0 in favor of SANDBOX.
4 kills go the way of SANDBOX, and SKT just don't see it coming. When we go over the replay, I want to talk about the timer of when this play happens, but for now, Rift Herald goes down, and there may not be plates, but there'll be turrets at the whimsy of SANDBOX.
Yeah, and you've even got a Sheen on Summit, so this tower's going to go down very quickly. Teddy just has to watch as this tower gets chunked on the bottom side. SANDBOX have brought it up to 11 so quickly. In the matter of 2 minutes, it's all of a sudden a 3,000 gold lead for SANDBOX Gaming.
And in the now, it doesn't matter that later Vlad will answer the teamfight versus teamfight. Now one teamfight comp has more gold than the other teamfight comp, which means they'll teamfight better. What I want to talk about, which isn't shown here, is this play happens around 14:02, 14 minutes into the game. The reason why I bring it up, Atlas, is that Rift Herald was taken at 13:30 and not summoned. What that tells you is that Jarvan will be bot, because otherwise he would have used it in a lane instantly. He was way closer to top and mid, but the fact that Jarvan didn't use it meant that he would be bot lane, meant that there would actually be a lot of resistance. It wasn't going to be take down the duo lane that had no summoners. If I'm VOD reviewing, the timer here is very important, because SKT should have been aware that SANDBOX were never going to be waving the white flag, because they did not use the Rift Herald off spawn.
Yep. Some of the cleanest team fighting from SANDBOX that we've seen for a very long time, though. It's very impressive as here on the bottom side Ghost playing very well. Good double knock up from Mata, but he gets stunned. Taken down very quickly. Ghost grabs that kill. Joker's out of mana, but he used it all just to get that kill, and in comes on fleek. Vision not available. The control ward's there, but Vision actually doesn't matter. The culling flies forward. Teddy on the wrong side of this one wants to get Ghost. Is able to do it. They trade 1-for-1 in the end, but they'll lose the turret as well. Still probably not worth it there for SKT bottom side.
Yeah, his coffee had already spilled. He gets to sip a little bit of it, but unfortunately, it's only going to be a trade of kills. They are able to use Clid to at least get some harassment onto Aurelia, but not a turret. That's for certain. Someone's even diving in. Doesn't give too many mundos about Vladimir this early, and I'm inclined to agree we're before the raid boss status.
Yep, exactly right. He is level 11, but look at that pull. That's not exactly the place that you want to be using it, and you can see that Khan is starting to get a little bit flustered here against the Aurelia, who still doesn't have the 333 gold to finish off that Trinity Force. When that comes in, man,
oh, but
it'll
look
be real
what
scary.
Lucian has both of his items, Atlas. He has brown bags, Play the Ruin King, and the Black Cleaver. He is insanely huge this early for 17 minutes. Mata, unfortunately, trades in too confidently and just dies straight up, and then all Teddy can do is say, I'm taking someone with me, gets a bounty, but not the cleanest from SKT's duo lane.
Yeah. Throws out the Q, does have enough mana, thankfully, to get the Feather Storm off. It does pick up the Lucian.
In the scenario of I'm stuck under turret, you get the white trade up because you get the bounty. But Lucian is so epically huge. He even has an Ocean Drake to spam those spells out.
And Teddy also, I mean, he's going for a 3-item spike, not a 2-item spike. Even if he was accelerated in this lane and he's been farming very, very well, it actually just doesn't matter because ghost items are just better when there's just 2 of them.
Counterpick available here.
One fleek is relatively low, but Clid, level disadvantage. And the Jarvan's pretty comfy. This is not the Warrior Enchant Jarvan. This is the Jarvan that can use his health bar as a resource very effectively. He's gone for the Cinderhulk because they know that they've got a fair bit of damage. They're getting behind the Lucian and the Aurelia to get work done, and Dove is going to be a big damage threat on this Galio this time around.
And to me, it's been a pleasure to watch Unfleek this game because usually he's in the Clid position of being Elysian, looking for his turret dives, or he's being relentlessly aggressive on the Camille. Not often do we see him out-pathing an enemy jungle, but I think he's been counter-ganking really, really nice and been the right spots where he needed to be there. So credit to Unfleek, whose reputation, this is a player that we really hyped up, player who we actually misidentified Jug King as Unfleek after Unfleek was styling.
I was actually
during the
talk
promotion
about
tournament
Canyon,
last
to be
year.
honest, because it feels like he's taken a lot of what Canyon had at the beginning of the season, where we were exclaiming about his incredible intelligent play, similar to that of, you know, Score from the past and Tarzan of this season.
He's got those bucket picks as well. The Jax is one that SKT know only too well, so Baker's been impressive, but I think he missed again.
He did.
Well,
Visual bug.
have you noticed? I think visual bugs are gone.
There hasn't been too many. Even Shelly Rivers has been getting her headbutts in the right spots.
I know, and she was really
I know, she was a really fun one. It was charging up for point-blank headbutts.
We were watching some Australian football during the break, so
we were.
Words like uncle.
Please don't spoil Collingwood versus Geelong for us. We need to finish that one off.
As always,
get out of this.
We are fans of teams that aren't Collingwood.
Because we're not Collingwood supporters.
Exactly.
That's it. As everyone, every self-respecting Australian
if you're a
should
North
be.
American fan, it's a New England Patriots situation.
Yeah.
Same thing. Collingwood's the same.
Well, someone's going to get slowed for a moment. A bit of damage there from Khan as he dash cannons towards it, but otherwise nothing too much going to happen.
But again, there's nothing much behind the dash cannon.
No.
It's not even a full CDR build yet. Unsure on the Transcendence, but heavily expected with the phase rush opted into. But no Fiendish Codex, no real damage. We know the weather forecast is very murky for SANDBOX at 40, at 35, but at 20, with the lead they have and a Lucian that is God tier, it should basically be shoot, point in the map where you want it, do the Babe Ruth of saying this is what we want, and if you show up first, you're going to get it.
Yep. And also, they've got a 40 CS lead on their Aurelia. She was part of that win condition. Summit is so much of how SANDBOX plays these games just because he's so consistent. Faker's looking for it, but the claw is going to be respected. SANDBOX don't give SKT any ways in. And I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to bring up our previous series because it was a bit of a fiesta, but this is the moment where things went wrong for Afrika. They were in SANDBOX's shoes, but this is an example of a team that is much better at putting themselves in this spot and then just closing out.
But there's one counterpoint. Tell me which week of the LCK it was where SANDBOX had their own lust of the Baron that kind of threw them off.
Weeks 1, 2, and 3.
And mostly just week 1. They actually fixed their Baron by the end of week 2. So SANDBOX had those issues. They had them the honest time, week 1, when everyone's a bit crap. Now, we're at week 9. We're almost the full-on business end of the season. This is when you have to be doing your winning. And you don't think of SANDBOX in that sort of way. Even though SKT is scaling, we're watching to see how SANDBOX looks to extend their lead. The Baron, that's a bit tricky. The Ocean Drake, not what they're wanting, but the next clearer objective for the side of SANDBOX.
3 Ocean Drakes to start off this series. We're certainly starting slow. The SANDBOX curse not actually coming in, unfortunately, for SANDBOX because they normally pick themselves up so many of those Mountain Drakes. Gleaming Quill's going to land onto Joker, but SANDBOX not too worried about this one as they're controlling so much of this map. 3 turrets to 1. It's been the scoreline for a very long time, and we're approaching 5,000 gold. SKT still. They're in their investment phase.
Unflake's build here is so one note. He is saying, I'm going to walk up and check every brush, and I don't give a mundo how many people are there. I'm not dying. And this early to have, what? You would say maybe 2,500 health if he's surrounded by enough people?
Yeah, massive effective health as well when he actually presses the Gargoyle Stoneplate button.
He is just working out and then some. Unflake's a very tall boy. He's thick
yeah,
as well.
Very big. There's a lot of C's when you spell that one as well, as the third ocean should go into the hands of SANDBOX. No reason for it not to. Hopefully for SANDBOX fans, that is going to roll into a new Drake. So we're done with the open Drakes this time around. 3 will be enough. And the next one will be a Cloud. Oh, feels real bad.
Well,
triple open into Clown. Ugh.
And when you have the Vlad outscale, you're like, at least the Drakes aren't working against us.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, SKT rolling pretty high when it comes to these Dragons as Faker gets out with the Claw, just trying to get an extra turret here in favor of SKT.
We haven't seen SKT in this scenario very often. They're often controlling their fate in the early to mid game. I think them being able to out-execute a scaling comp, I always think of them just picking kind of the Elise Jarvan stuff and beating a Sivir comp before that can ever really get its items together. Here, everyone said 2 items, I'm golden, apart from the Vladimir. And SANDBOX have a nice little lead here. It's not a game-winning lead. Again, we like the Vladimir as the game goes on, especially against an epically short-range comp on the side of SANDBOX. But waiting on SANDBOX to find an objective that will actually change the game. In a turrets, they're looking tricky. The Baron buff, it hasn't been started. The Lucian build is very powerful, but so far they're not actually able to inflict any pain onto SKT in the last 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, it's a big lead here for OnFleek, 1,000 gold, but it's 2,000 for the top side of the map. You can see Summit on your screen right now, 50 CS in the lead. 550 gold bounty, you can see even in the mid lane, Dove keeping up in farm, and 2-0 and 2 now on this Galio. He's a legitimate damage threat. On to SKT.
We gotta do something. If we're SANDBOX, we need to start up an objective. We need to force SKT. Because if you just go CS for CS, Vladimir's got that scaling that we talk about a lot. Ult's being used here. Okay, they're definitely getting excited.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that is a pretty classic Joker ultimate. I like to see that one. Joker's still the same player, but Ring of Frost is going to lock up too. There's the grand entrance onto Dove, but look at how tanky he is. Just soaks that damage. Teleport to come in now as Summit wants to join this fight, but SKT have successfully disengaged. And Khan didn't even have to press his D button. He's totally fine.
Well, we definitely saw the time where Joker opened up his mobile phone and saw the weather report and said, wow, it's actually going to get bad soon. We've got to get home fast.
Yeah.
Because they go for, like you mentioned, a bit of a brazen all-in. Braum not known for his engaging power. And thus, they do clear out vision, but no more. SKT aren't respecting a Baron speed take. So because of that, they go back to pushing Crisis Averted.
Yep, and speaking of Crisis Averted, Teddy is so close to Infinity Edge. That's going to be when SKT really can start up these fights. You've got Morellonomicon done for Khan. Sitting on a heck of a lot of CDR. He's level 14 already. I mean, I feel like the early game has been and gone. And this Vladimir is starting to get to Vladimir's status faster than SANDBOX fans would want. As they're trying to bait for this Baron. Look at all of the vision that they have. There's no blue trinkets available for SKT.
Galio.
Yeah, OnFleek's looking for it, doesn't find the knock-up. Good Sanguine Pull is in a great time there, as now the re-engage from Faker is being considered, but not actually opted in for. Marta soaks himself a Winds of War, but SANDBOX have been unable to actually find anything. Summit going back home, no teleport available, and now it's even more respite for SKT.
And now we're getting to the point where SANDBOX feel a bit desperate. How do you pick Vladimir, Lee Sin, Lasan, Josiah, Rakan? Like, these guys, if they have any inkling that the enemies could be around, can get it out of the way of threats very quickly. SANDBOX continue to be frustrated. Now OnFleek's on a ward.
It's also so comfortable because the side lanes were mopped up. For SKT, you can see Summit. He's going to go down, he's going to fix things up, and the 3-item spike is now there for Teddy. I warned you about it a second ago. And then immediately, Teddy picks that one up, and now SANDBOX aren't as out of the woods as they thought they were. Yes, their lead is still there. It's still to the tune of about 5,000 gold, but it's starting to mean less and less.
Good defensive macro from SKT, and SANDBOX unable to find a match winner. They didn't get the high roll Drake, so it makes life easy, but they're looking to pick up Baker.
Yeah, Baker's actually going to turn this one around. He self-ults. We've got the grand entrance to come in, the heroic entrance there as well, and that one's going to spell defeat to Marta. Baker is actually able to get out of there as Teddy doing a lot of damage, but in the backline, Summit, he's found Clits. Teddy has to go up into the Featherstorm, and that's some low health bars on SANDBOX, but still 4 of them are alive. Is it now going to be 3? Is cleared, picks up one, Teddy follows through for the second, and now Khan versus Summit is once again going to be the matchup, but that's the wrong place to go, Ghost. And SKT have won the team fight.
SKT have the patience to choose their targets and call them clearly. Insane after the start that they actually trade up. But only Summit is alive, and Clit is aware that he's still around.
Yep, he's waiting for someone to face check with one of these low health bars, but Teddy's already back to full health. They've got a cannon here in this mid lane. They will try and even out these turrets, but it doesn't even matter that there's still a gold lead for SANDBOX because SKT, they've shown them they can't teamfight them anymore.
And we get that full zoom onto Teddy. The good defensive macro bought him an IE, and yet, when this started and OnFleek takes so long to die, you think actually, maybe they've chosen the wrong time to fight. So as the play starts, Teddy has to contend with OnFleek in his face. He does no damage, but as we know, he dies very slowly. Summit starts diving in. You're like, okay, this is just going to be SANDBOX finding their moment. But look at the split-second timing on the ultimate there. Goes straight through the flash taunt from Dove. And then they try to turn off Teddy, and that's already where you know you made a mistake. You done goofed because
That's
Teddy
a big whoopsie.
Has got his red buff. He has got his IE. Vladimir cleans it up, and SKT just too damn good.
And Clid was everywhere in that fight. I was wondering who I was supposed to be following around, and I actually feel like Clid was the main target in that one. He kicked away Summit so he couldn't start the engagement. The hero's entrance wasn't followed up on by the Aurelia, and we spoke about the SANDBOX comp. It's a lot of CC, but Aurelia and Lucian need to be doing damage. There was a lot of time where he was trying to chase around Clid, and the Aurelia's time was just wasted. In that futile effort, really nicely done from the jungler of SKT. There's a reason why he's played, this is his 17th game on the Lee Sin.
And here's what I'll say, it's now or never for SANDBOX, and the reason why I say that is we're getting closer and closer to 10,000 gold plus on some of the carries, but also another important point, Atlas.
Yeah?
When the summoners were up, and remember, we just saw a summoner atrocity, almost every button was pressed in the last fight, then the natural mobility in the flash means that these picks just aren't going to happen. And over an extended fight, Infinity Edge build plus 10% bonus amp damage means that SKT should win way more fights than they lose. So you gotta get a pick on someone when their screen is half off-centered, when they have no flash down, because once the flashes come back up, I don't think SANDBOX can find a way to actually punish SKT.
You need to get a pick on Mata or Clid. And Clid, before he gets to press his
stopwatch
button or gets himself his Guardian Angel. But Faker's got his Frozen Tomb. Teddy's got his Featherstorm, and there's a Sanguine Pool on Kant. You just straight up can't get picks on these champions without them wasting so much of your time and the rest of SKT following up.
Well, not with that attitude, Atlas. So they'll take whoever they can get. Faker is lying in wait. They don't know about his position. OnFleek can, of course, have a mobile ward with his flag going down. He's not too scared about Lissandra coming in. He is still hilariously tanky.
Oh, yes. And look, SANDBOX is still ahead as far as the gold is concerned. They still have a lot of chances here in this game, but the window is closing, and it's closing more rapidly than you might otherwise expect. Faker comes in with another Circle of Frost, but Joker straight up misses the ultimate. That's a big whoopsie. Dash Cannon gets Faker to safety, and it's a trade of a lot of buttons, but not actually too much more. It's Faker's ultimate now on cooldown alongside his Freljordian brethren in the Braum.
A bit big bad wolfy, though, from SANDBOX. A lot of huffing and puffing, but this house is not being blown down this time. It's staying pretty robust. Another ult is down, and maybe you fancy a moment to go in. Now that some of those big tools are down, the Braum disengage, no longer a thing.
Yep, now Ghost has to be very careful as well. He can't be standing in this mid lane just clearing out minions.
Well, sometimes you can just run at a Baron and hope for something to happen. Maybe
what week is it again? What week is it again?
Well, I think this is the right call, because otherwise SKT are going to get their items, Atlas. So they run at the Baron, and so far SKT are taking their time.
Yeah, actually the next one's going to come in there as Clid waits
He's
for it. Is in there, steals the Baron. It's all too easy for SKT's jungler. The grand entrance there as well. Summit is going to go down low. He's into the Guardian Angel now. As SANDBOX, the health bars are low. Teddy is at full health and gets a gigantic Blade Coil. Call it, see you later, SANDBOX. You ain't getting any more. And the Lee Sin, he's done his job and then some.
They steal the Baron, and Teddy can just pop the ultimate for damage to try to take down some members. Like you say, the damage abates any further engage. Thanks very much to the Baron leash, says SKT.
Yeah, I thought it might have been the re-engage, but SKT say, no, we're going to take our purple buff, and we're going to run with it.
I'm going to say right call by SANDBOX. That sounds bad, right? They lost to Baron. They'll probably lose the game now. But if not, Vladimir shows up with too many items. The flashes are back up, and you lose anyway. So they run at the Baron. Clid gets the button press and gets the smite. And now SANDBOX are completely at the whim of SKT. Unfortunately, SANDBOX couldn't win the game when it was theirs to be won. They didn't get the Drakes that make their life easy. And you see the little fist bumps there from SKT. You see the bigger happiness from their fans around LoL Park. SKT might have done enough to hold things down in game number 1.
And I really love Koma's reaction to that one, because you can see there's so much emotion riding on this particular matchup. This sets the tone for how the gauntlet run is going to look. Is SKT going to be that second place team that everyone pitted them at after that beautiful series against Griffin that they ultimately lost, but in the hearts of the fans, they won?
And then scarily, you're down to 4th as SANDBOX, and if you don't get things together quickly, you kind of go out with a whimper and you might just lose a best of 3 and be out after being entrenched in top 3 all season. Atlas, they've been up the top. So with the consistency of Kingzone going on an 8-game winning streak, we know this one is for second place for the winner, but like you mentioned, any scoreline, 4th place for the loser. SANDBOX around the mid lane, and now we're just kind of waiting on SKT to get in there.
Yeah, we're waiting for Marta to actually clear out this pesky little ward as well, as Clid's going to walk over one also. Heck loads of value to that particular piece of vision.
It's never a great feeling to YOLO Baron against a top team, but when you haven't been able to find your lead when you have the invitation, it's better than just watching the enemy team win.
Yeah, so. Exactly. I mean, I feel like going out to the beat of your own drum is something that you actually deserve credit for, because SANDBOX were never going to win in late-game team fights, especially not now that Teddy almost has 6 items complete. He just does way more DPS than Ghost is capable of, whilst being safer and whilst also doing it in an AoE. So it's just no way that SANDBOX are going to be able to win this one straight up. They need to go for the funny business. They need to go for the creative plays to steal this game away, much like how Griffin did in back-to-back games against SKT.
And it's just get a pick on someone randomly, like just surprise someone. This is where you're in that brush that you should never be in as the enemy jungler, and you just randomly kill the AD carry, but flashes are up, Atlas. We kind of talked about that as the timer here. What it looks like for them to pick someone is starting with a AoE taunt and then just DPSing someone down. During that particular duration, there aren't too many options here. Drake goes to SKT, and while they're not winning the game just yet, it just feels like we'll be about a Baron or an Elder that SKT will have positioning on, and SANDBOX will have to face check.
And just think about how different this game looks if all of those Ocean Drakes were Infernal Drakes. Actually, I feel like a lot of the early skirmishes, a lot of the fights would have had to have been earlier for SKT. SANDBOX would have been able to demand a lot more action at the start of this game.
But here's what I'll say. It's second place versus third place coming in. What it feels like when that happens, let's say it was 3 Infernals and SANDBOX just have the advantage, it feels like it was grading on a curve where the teacher's just like, actually everyone played bad, everyone did bad on the test, so suddenly a 70 is an A+. Like, this makes life easy for a team that's supposed to be competing for first Atlas. So I actually prefer there being a bit of hard mode. It is kind of hard done by SANDBOX, but they controlled this game, gold lead and tempo-wise, and SKT had good defensive macro and SANDBOX had no answer. So I think they learn more from losing this game if they can come back and actually get things going at the end of the season, rather than winning because of just pure chance.
Well, right now, SKT have SANDBOX exactly where they want them. Faker with a flanking position. He's on vision. I don't know what SANDBOX can actually do about this one. Another ultimate's going to go hilariously wide.
Stop it, Joker.
It's not good. His R button. He's a little bit too frisky on it. Summit throws down the Vanguard's edge. That's immediately Marta taken down, but look at the Blade Caller. Into the backline goes Teddy, and Aurelia has fallen. Heroic entrance comes down, and look at the AoE like we were talking about. Khan is on a free-for-all. It's Clid that grabs the kill on the Galio. Now SANDBOX have to get the hell out.
SKT aren't able to wipe SANDBOX, but it's still going to be a trade-up. Even if the setup wasn't perfect for them, they'll back away, and like we mentioned, it's probably going to take another Baron here for SKT. Ain't no one got any range on either team, really, if you think about it.
Gone. That's it's a little bit of a look, kind of like the Exhaust Ignite underneath the top lane outer turret.
I need something to happen, Atlas. Can you do this for me?
Yeah.
Can the Braum just hit one person with his ult?
He hit 3 people in the very early game. I think he used up all of his good karma.
A future ult, could it please hit somebody?
I think so.
Because right now, he's pressing R, his AD carry is getting 30% more damage, but nothing else is happening.
Best of 3, Bob, best of 3.
By the way, Xayah's doing a lot of damage to the here.
Yes, Xayah almost kills the full tank Jarvan. And look at this, Clid getting all the way amongst it. Not actually going down to his G, I don't think, throughout this entire fight. So holds on to that big cooldown.
Faker able to hit the map, double teleport available for both sides. Faker got the proc in there that Aftershock allows the demolish. Teddy comes in, and yeah, Teddy's decked out.
He is. He's got 6 items, but there's also double Void stuff that's just come in for both of the AP carries. And remember, on SKT side,
remember that the Lucian was just the most hilariously ahead at 16 minutes?
Yep. That
was 21 minutes ago, and a blackjack amount of minutes means that suddenly Lucian's behind on the Xayah.
Exactly. I think they're a little bit bust at this point, Papa. I think you made the right analogy there with the card game. Unfortunately, he can just go over, and Faker's going to teleport in. It's a double. Both of those AP carries we were talking about are going to get delivered into the backline. Faker doesn't take the claw, though, as on fleek. He's fighting Teddy. That's a battle the AD carry can win at this point. And Summit, I'm sorry, mate. Your time is up. You're going to go down. It's the Vladimir that deals with him. We'll finally have that. Clit actually picks it up in the end. And Teddy just looking to bully away the rest of SANDBOX. The Baron will be free, and the base will be broken.
You're at the point where Khan is a one-man wrecking crew. He goes in, and other people leave. There ain't nobody standing up to a Vladimir. Level 18, fully decked out. They'll take the Baron. They needed a second one to actually have enough siege threat to take down the game. Who's to say we might not extend even further, Atlas? Unfortunately, with how the comps are, it's not the easiest. They don't feel like strong enough to dive onto a Galio. And maybe SANDBOX can say, well, Elder spawns in a minute. Who knows what might happen?
Yeah, well, I mean, they do have 4 Drakes, so you're right. The Elder is going to be a big deal. But let's have a look at this fight one more time.
It
Teddy.
was a double TP onto that lane ward. I saw Lissandra, and then Vladimir joins. And we always call Vladimir as casters, Malphite Orianna as a duo. And of course, Malphite Orianna, one of those low elo terrors where it's AoE CC and damage. Even though it's not hard CC from the Vladimir, it's hard damage, which is the strongest and purest form of CC. Crowd is almost at risk of throwing away their signs. They're so excited.
And SKT are also excited. Yeah, the bottom lane of SANDBOX. Where are you going to go? Joker, can you land an ultimate? I promised Papa Smithy that you were going to do it. You can't even throw it down. The button not even pressed. And SKT, they're too far ahead. That's a double kill for Teddy. Summit going to go down as well. Can you get another one? No, it's going to be Clid that grabs his piece of the pie. And now it's only on Fleek trying to run away as full tank Jarvan. And you're not going to be able to affect the outcome of this game. SKT, they just bided their time and they will win game number 1. SANDBOX, they need a lot of credit given to them for their early game, but unfortunately it wasn't enough to get through the juggernaut that is SKT in a scaling situation.
And definitely, Atlas, I'm with you on that. I feel like both teams have passed